Well, Thursday is here already. Hello there, good afternoon, and welcome to The Pulse. We are coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. We are on your digital terrestrial TV. We are free to air. You can catch us on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is Joy News, independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Quartey on the hot seat as he faces the Privileges Committee of Parliament for missing 15 parliamentary sittings. We'll bring you up to speed with the fallouts from that closed-door meeting underway in Parliament. Meanwhile, two other MPs, Kennedy Ejapong and embattled Gender Minister Sarah Joasafo, will take their turns later next week. We'll bring you more updates on that. And delegates of the New Patriotic Party this afternoon are preparing and heading to the polls starting this weekend. We hear from leadership of the NPP, plus give you a roundup of activities leading to that internal contest. It's all coming up right here on The Pulse. And this afternoon as well, we put a spotlight on the newly created Guan district as the local assembly has for the very first time endorsed the first female DCE for the Guan area. MFR Janet Obro Adibo will be my guest here on The Pulse. Please stay for details. I'm blessed Sogah. As always, The Pulse is brought to you by Global Communities Digny Lu, affordable, safe sanitation. Remember as well that this afternoon we're streaming on YouTube and all of our social media handles. It's at JoyNews on TV. Twitter us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is at Blessed Sogah. Always a pleasure serving you here on The Pulse. Well, we're starting off in Parliament. Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Quartey is today facing the Privileges Committee. The Ayasu Central Member of Parliament, together with two other MPs, were referred for disciplinary sanctions by Speaker Alban Bagbin for failing to show up in the lawmaking chamber for more than 15 parliamentary sittings. According to the initial schedule, Domi Kwabinya MP Sarah Joasafo, together with Kennedy Ejapong, who were widely criticized for failing to show up in Parliament throughout the parts of the last session, they are scheduled as well to take their turns in the coming days on the matter. However, we understand that there are some changes to that timeline. We'll get all of that for you, but first let's get to Parliament, where my colleague Parker Wilson has been monitoring developments for us. Parker, it's good to be having you at this moment. We know that that meeting is underway. First of all, even before we get into the details, why are there some changes to the timelines as we're hearing from Parliament?
Well, Blessed, thank you very much for having me on pause. Now, the changes I'll tell you shortly. And in fact, I'll let the ranking member on the committee, Kweku Rickett-Hagan, tell us about why there's been some changes with regards to Sarah Joasafo appearing before the committee tomorrow. But of course, I heard you say that today it was the turn of the Greater Accra Regional Minister Henry Quartey. Indeed, he did appear before the committee, but it took an interesting turn. I understand that when he appeared before the committee, there were some kind of pleasantries between him and his colleagues, and nothing serious really happened at the committee. The ranking member is here with me. Honorable, thank you very much for your time. Yeah. You met the Greater Accra Regional Minister. I understand there was just a pleasantries. Nothing serious happened in the committee. One would want to know why Henry Quartey appeared before the committee, and yet there was no serious issues to discuss as far as his case is concerned.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers and your listeners. I wouldn't belittle pleasantries as not being important. Obviously, we have to break the ice, to start any serious conversation. As you rightly know, we had a meeting yesterday to discuss the modalities and had a proposed timetable, which meant that Honorable Henry Quartey comes in today. Right. And then followed by Honorable Joasafo, and then by 31st on Honorable Kennedy Ejapong. He did appear today, but as you know, parliamentary matters can be very fluid. It just happened that we have some delegation here to see the Right Honorable Speaker. I think they were in the chamber the other day from Canada, and the Speaker has a number of activities with them. In the absence of the Speaker is the First Deputy Speaker, who sits in the chair, or the Second Deputy Speaker. Unfortunately, the Second Deputy Speaker is not around. He's on an assignment somewhere directed by the Right Honourable Speaker. So it was advertised that our meeting should start around 11 o'clock, advertised in our other paper. At 11 o'clock, it happens that the speaker was in a meeting with the first deputy speaker. So we asked our clerk office to put the meeting to 12 o'clock. Honorable Henry Cote appeared 12 o'clock.
At 12 o'clock?
Yeah, he was here there before that. You know, I was actually the first person in the room. So I was there at 11, you know. And he appeared, you know, not too long after that, as the time we had given him. Now what happened was that there was going to be a transition in the chamber where the Right Honourable Speaker will have to give way for the First Deputy Speaker to chair. So then our meeting and recording would be problematic because by our constitution is the chairman who can only chair in that hearing. Okay. So I'm ranking, but I cannot chair committee. And him not being available as a result of his functions in the chamber made it a bit problematic. So what we did was that since he was in and the speaker was there, the Honourable First Deputy Speaker asked the speaker for 30 minutes. Therefore, the speaker should continue to chair for 30 minutes to deal with matters of privileges. So we went to the privileges committee and we had a quorum and we met our colleague, and it transpired, as I have just said to you, that the chairman had to go back into the chamber on a moment notice to take over from the speaker. Now, on the other side, and that is the Honourable Henry Cote, it was suggested to him that we meet at 2 o'clock. And he too, you know, he's a Greater Accra minister. He's also got ministerial functions at 2 o'clock and also traveling out of the country. Yeah. So then we have to come to a consensus that we have to give this hearing an ample time. And we couldn't do that on that
within the 30 minutes.
Within the 30 minutes. So then the right thing as a consensus was to adjourn and wait for the return of the honourable member. So
you've rescheduled him for another day?
Yes, but
so when is this?
We haven't firmed the dates because we have to discuss that with myself and the chairman and give the clerks a date, because the reason being that he is traveling, he is indicating he will come in at a particular time and all that. So we need to look at, you know, everybody.
And that would be next week?
Well, he's back next week. So, you know, it could be any time after he's come back into the country.
I see.
But
now, I've also
as soon as we have a date.
I see. But I've also been receiving information about Adjosafo's appearance before the committee. In fact, tomorrow, I am told that the committee is not sitting or probably hearing the case of Adjosafo. And the reason is the chairman will be away. Why is the chairman going to be away when there's an important meeting like this to have in Parliament?
Well, you know, we were brought here by the Ghanaian people, you know, to represent them here. And we came through political parties. And it just happened. I mean, I don't do these timetables, neither does the First Deputy Speaker, that our brothers on the other side are having their regional elections, I believe. Right. So he communicated to us after having found out, you know, the itinerary of their party, that he will not actually be available for that meeting. But as you know, I mean, I cannot chair. I'm available, but I cannot chair that meeting. And then the constituents and the party that brings us here, that process is also important. So
he will be away because of the Ashanti regional elections?
Well, he's away, I believe is one of them. But he's away from tomorrow. He's not here tomorrow.
I see. But have you communicated to Adjosafo, because she was scheduled to appear before the committee? Now that the chairman will be away and then the committee will not be sitting, well, have you communicated to her?
That will be communicated by the clerk through the chairman. The chairman will have to inform the clerk, and then they will, through the same process as, you know, they will communicate with her.
This means the committee has met a major setback, and what it means is that you will not be able to meet your deadline. Or you think with all these major setbacks, you can still meet the deadline because your deadline is next week Friday to submit your report before the plenary.
Well, we, in life, we plan to do things tomorrow, but nobody can guarantee tomorrow, or nobody knows what is going to happen tomorrow. I mean, we had, as I said, provisional timetable as to how these proceedings are going to be conducted. Unfortunately, we have had these challenges to do with speakership in terms of who sits in the chair and when, as a result of the delegation who are here, and that's also equally important. Unfortunately, as I said, if the second deputy speaker were to be here, it would be telling you a different story. And then, as it happened, tomorrow too, this is the problem that we are encountering. So, I mean, there is nothing that I can do about it. That's been the communication from the chairman that he is actually not going to be available. I cannot chair. So ours is to go back to the speaker and possibly ask for an extension, which is going to be the likely scenario. Because if Honorable Henry, even if we're able to meet the other people within the next few days, Honorable Kennedy Japan on the 31st and all that, it is likely that we will eat into the second week in terms of our hearing.
So you can't meet the deadline that's given to you by the speaker.
That's how it looks like. I mean, unless something, miraculous happen.
There are those who are saying that all this scheming and shenanigans perhaps is only to shield your colleagues because they are members of parliament, you are called a member of parliament, so you are bringing all these kind of excuses just to let them off the hook.
No, I wouldn't accept that. I mean, I have heard that, and, it's just basically, people are obviously saying what they believe. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion, but nobody is entitled to their own facts. The fact is what I have given you on what is actually happening on the ground. I don't think that, we were put on the Privileges Committee to shield anybody. The Privileges Committee is like a court of parliament, and members of parliament are put on it. And it is clear by our constitution and our standing orders, the functions of the Privileges Committee, and that is for matters of privileges, whether it is in-house or external people, to be brought to Privileges Committee. So this has been there. It wasn't designed yesterday that we are going to meet or we have decided that we will meet our own colleagues. But the Constitution suggests that if there is such contempt, it is the Privileges Committees who will have to, to listen to the matter. So this is one of them, and it's not the first time that a colleague is being, colleagues are being listened to in that manner. The issue of fairness is already provided by the Constitution. Actually, when you are absent from Parliament 15 days, the Constitution is clear. You vacate your seat. That is something, and it's on you to vacate your seat, unless you have reasons why you should not. That is why the Constitution and our standing orders provide that fairness, the opportunity of you getting a hearing from the Privileges Committee. So to say that the Privileges Committee, because they are our colleagues and all that, the laws are clear, and we will follow the law to the...
Will you be lenient with your colleagues, or you think you can assure the people who are watching this afternoon that, and this is my final question to you, that you'll be thorough, you will ensure that every question is asked to get the best out of your colleagues?
I can assure you of that. I mean, as I said, we have rules and regulations that we work with. If we don't follow the rules and regulations as we have it, then basically we are weakening the institution of Parliament. So we take our jobs seriously. As a ranking, I take my job very seriously. The rules will be followed. We all sign up to the rules. We know what the consequences are. What has happened to them today can happen to me tomorrow. So if we don't go by what we have, then in the future, the system becomes an abusive one. And so there will be a fair hearing. As I said, there could be legitimate reasons why the honorable members did not come for the 15 days, though they should have sought permission before that. But things can happen. You can fall in a coma or whatever. That will not allow you to be able to be here for that 15 days. So ours is to hear them. If they have the evidence, if you come in and said, you've been absent for 15 days, so no, I haven't been, then we've got to do some reconciliation with the vote and proceedings. If we find out that what you are saying is right, you have no case to answer. If it happens that you've been absent for 15 days, it's like court, guilty with explanation. So what is your explanation? You tender in the evidence, and then we will look at the evidence, substantiate that evidence. If there are any doubts in the evidence, we will have to look at the authenticity of that. So all these things could even eat up the 2 weeks, depending on what happens. If it becomes a straightforward, I was absent for 50 days, these are my records, everything is intact, finish. If authentication and other things need to be coming in, depending on, I don't know what is going to be provided to us, then we will have to look into that. When we finish, we will have to submit the report as requested by the Speaker to the Speaker. Okay. So it's a straightforward thing, and I can assure you and assure Ghanaian people that I will do my job to the best of my ability. And I can stand in as the ranking member to say that I believe that my colleagues will do the same.
So if you had to recommend the dismissal or the expulsion or the declaration of a seat of member of parliament, you would do that?
Absolutely. Because this is what we sign up to. I mean, if I have been absent for 15 days and I don't have any reason, the decent thing for me to do is to resign. And I can tell you that I will do so. So if it happens to anybody, you know, you can't sign up for rules of a game and decide to play with the rules of another game. So you sign up to the rules of the game. You play by the rules.
Honorable, thank you very much for your time this afternoon. Kweku Rekete is the ranking member on the Privileges Committee, and he's clear that he's going to do his job diligently, irrespective of whose ox is God, because he's been taxed to ensure that the right thing is done.
Well, but Saka, if you can hear me right now.
Blessed, the committee is clear.
Right, there are concerns about why the media has not been involved in this process. Can we take the opportunity to find out from the chairperson of the committee? Or Ricky Tegan as well?
Well, so that's correct. Yesterday, when the committee met, as part of the modalities, they were going to look at whether or not the media should participate thoroughly in these processes, or rather it should be an in-camera. Well, of course, we still do have the ranking here. Honorable, yesterday, your modalities, we want to know why the media has been kicked out of this whole privileges committee hearing, because Ghanaians want to know. The Domi Kwabena constituents want to understand why their MP has failed them for 15 days and has not represented them. The Ascent South constituent want to know, and then here in Greater Accra, the Ayawasi Central constituent want to know. We, the media, are to serve as a proponent to these individuals, yet we are not part of this. Why? What was the reason for asking the media not to cover this program?
And Parker, if you've been kicked out, you will not be sitting here with me.
No, I'm talking about the meeting.
Yeah, well, it's an extension, right. And that's what we're talking about. I believe that I remember actually that a few interviews that I had before we went into the meeting. Right. I did say that obviously we are going to the meeting to discuss the modalities, which includes whether it should be in camera or we should make it public hearing. Right. Now. I said, if that's what the public is asking for, then when we get there, various opinions will come and we'll make a decision on that. When we went to the meeting, I was not of any view whether it should be public hearing or should be, I was open to anything. What the people want is, I thought, what the people should get. But when we went to the meeting, there are other school of thought that, look, we have heard that some of the defense or the evidence that some of our colleagues, some or all of them I have, was of a medical nature. So, and you know, medical things can be sometimes be private. Yeah, I do understand that people were elected to, you know, represent their constituency, and the constituencies have the right to know, you know, why they have not represented them or not. But then hearings of this nature can be very fluid. If somebody is discussing their medical issues and all that, for you to be able to give them the opportunity to be honest with you, if they are on camera telling the whole nation, might be a bit different. And then you cannot put them on camera. And then when they are saying something that you think of private or sensitive nature, you will tell the cameras that they should stop and then, you know, stop, do on and off. It's going to interrupt, you know, proceedings. So we thought that the best way to handle it, and this was by consensus. We didn't vote on this, by consensus, that it would be better we do in camera, so that if it's medical stuff and things that we are going to discuss, people at least will have the decency, of giving them the privacy that they deserve. Obviously, when we finish with everything else, if there's an evidence why another honorable member should be spared of his seat being vacated, then it will come in a way of this person came in and said he was suffering from this and was at the hospital, did an operation, and that for that reason we are satisfied that, though he was not able to come in to get a permission in advance, but we think that his case is legitimate. And whatever reason why any of them did not appear would be made known.
So essentially, the reason we are not having a public hearing with the 3 absentee MPs is purely based on medical reasoning.
Because that is what we have heard. And I think it is a public knowledge that at least 1 or 2 of them, we know they've had some proceeding, medical, and then as I said, Honorable Kennedy Japon's case, he came to ask us to extend his time. So looking at his availability, that's why we put him there. And we know that it is on medical grounds. So I don't know, but obviously maybe he's coming to explain that because I had a medical condition or whatever. So that's why we have, decided to respectfully reserve that or spare them the idea of having to come and tell the whole Ghana their medical condition.
Thank you very much. So, Blessed, purely based on medical reasons, they don't want the medical records of the NPs be made public for people to know, probably if they were absent based on medical reasons. And that's what the ranking member, Ricketts Kweku-Hagan, has been telling me this afternoon. And so it is clear that the 2 weeks upon resumption of Parliament for them to submit their report will not happen, because for now, as we speak, they are yet to even meet one of the MPs for the interrogation. And so next week we are told that Kennedy Ohene-Japan, he hasn't so far altered his agreement with the committee. He will be appearing before the committee next week. And so even though if you look at the schedule originally, he was scheduled to be the last person to have met the committee, now he's going to be the first to meet the committee. And subsequently, the committee will now decide when to meet the Greater Accra Regional Minister, Henry Korte, and later also the Dom Kwabena MP, Sarah Adjosafo. So the Privileged Committee will not be able to meet the deadline as given to them by the Speaker, and that the chairman has said that they will write officially to the Speaker asking for an extension because they are still not ready with putting together the report and, of course, interrogating the members of Parliament.
And Park, I'm sure that you've seen the MP Henry Korte after the session today. What was his mood like anyway?
Well, he's very cheerful. In fact, I saw him in the chamber yesterday, and today too I saw him around. He doesn't seem bothered at all. In fact, when this matter came before Parliament on recess in the first week of April, we had opportunity to engage him and interact with him briefly, and he was clear in his mind that it wasn't deliberate that he had to be off from duties for the 15 sitting day rule, and that he's not bothered. He has every evidence to show why he did not appear or show up in Parliament. And so when he's called upon to meet the Privileges Committee, he has everything documented which he believes would exonerate him. And mind you, the Minority Chief Whip, Montaka, has been telling me that the members of Parliament should be accommodating because nobody is voted into Parliament to come and absent himself. There might be legitimate reasons as to why people do absent themselves from Parliament. And so he is expecting his colleagues on the Privileges Committee to be more lenient with the 3 NPP MPs who appear before them. And so for Henry Korte, he's not bothered. He doesn't really care what's going to happen because he is confident in his mind that with the evidence he has, if it is tabled before the Privileges Committee, they will exonerate him and recommend that indeed he was absent legitimately, and so there wouldn't be the need for the committee to recommend that the Speaker should declare his seat vacant.
And definitely there's a lot of development to this. We'll be monitoring that because her party members as well have indicated their readiness to declare her seat as vacant. Have you cited any MPs from her side as well, and what indications are you getting from them?
Well, so the MPP MPs, they are sharply divided over particularly the issue of Sarah Adjosafo. There were those who believe that the Member of Parliament for Dom Kwabena He's taken the party for granted. She has disrespected the structures of the party, disrespected the president, the appointing authority, and the leadership of parliament. And so there has to be a bold decision to kick her out from parliament. And there are those who have also argued that there were some medical reasons as to why the MP hasn't been available. And so they have to be accommodating. So the NPP MPs themselves are sharply divided over whether or not the seat of Dom Kwabena MP should be declared vacant. In fact, some of them have argued that it is only a small screen. The two NPP MPs who've been referred to the committee, i.e. Kennedy Ohene Japan and Henry Cote, is just a small screen. The real target as to why the three MPs have been referred is because of Sarah Josafo and the fact that she has disrespected some of the leadership. And you recall that the minority chief whip called her out publicly on Joy FM when we interviewed him some months ago. And so because of some of these things, people think that she has to be kicked out of parliament. But there are those, as I've said, who maintain they should give her some time. She'll come around. They should talk to her. They still need a Dom Kwabena seat. Now parliament is struggling with the numbers. They still need her seat. They still need her number in terms of voting and all of that. So the division will go on until she returns to Ghana. In fact, as we speak, we don't know that she has arrived because of her appearance tomorrow. We were told she was going to arrive today. But since her hearing has been postponed, well, we don't know when she will be arriving in the country. So when she does, that is when we'll find some kind of settlement and calmness within the ranks of the majority grouping. But of course, the minority side, well, some don't really, they're indifferent about it. Of course, you know Muntaka's position indicating that the MP shouldn't be referred to the privileges committee, and others are very indifferent about it as to whether Adjusafo will be sacked or not. They believe it is in the bosom of the appointing authority, which is the president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Well, so that's my colleague Parker Wilson joining us from Parliament and giving us the very latest on this. We'll be bringing you some updates as and when we have that. We're also putting a focus on the new patriotic party because delegates of the party are heading to the polls in the next 24 hours to elect regional executives across the country. Now, this exercise, as we understand, follows the polling station and constituency level elections. Now, after this exercise, the next contest will be for the national executive positions of the party. My colleague Samuel Umbura has a roundup of all the events leading to tomorrow's exercise.
After resolving the myriad of grievances from party members and aspirants during the constituency elections, all is now set for the new Patriotic Party's regional executive contest. The Northern, Northeast, and Bono regions are expected to hold their elections in the next 24 hours. Volta, Eastern, Upper West, Western and Western North, Central, Savannah, Greater Accra, Ashanti and Oti regions will follow on Saturday, whereas the Bono region will be the last to hold its election on the 29th of May. The center of attraction in this internal election of the MPP is the Ashanti region, where the incumbent chairman Bernard Ntwibo-Osiaku, popularly known as Chairman Wuntumi, is facing fierce competition from 4 other aspirants. But he is optimistic his stewardship will earn him third term as leader of the party.
That since from 1992 to 2016, the elections was different. Or every 8 years, election changes. You know, so the 2016, it's about 2.2 million people voted in Ashanti region. Then we had overall votes about 1.6 million. And 2022, we have about 2.4 million people also to vote in Ashanti region. And we also got about 1.8 since I've been a chairman. By God's grace, I'm increasing the votes all the time. So this is our strength. So to me, I think we're also going to have another strategy to break the 8.
26 aspirants have been cleared to contest the elections in the Bono region. Candidates, including the regional secretary and incumbent Kofi Ofosu-Boateng, continue to engage the kingmakers in the 12 constituencies in a bid to drum home their messages.
Everywhere I have been, delegates have given me the assurance that on 29th, when they are coming to Sunyani, they are going to give me the endorsement, and it will be a resounding endorsement for me to continue with the work that I have done. They know that I have the experience to shepherd the party into what now has become a clarion call by party people, which has been tagged as the Break the Eight. They know I have that capacity, I have the requisite skills, and I have the right temperament. And the fact that I know the terrain in the Blue region, having worked for a decade and a half here.
But in the Upper East region, where the MPP has a single seat out of 15 from the 2020 general elections, aspirants say the party needs a vibrant front to recapture all seats lost during the 2020 polls.
You can only lay the blame squarely on the doorsteps of the chairman if you can show and point to the fact that resources, logistics were deployed and they were never sent. Nobody is making that allegation.
I will use my own resources to make sure that we organize this party, to make sure that 2024 we have many seats in the upper area. What we seek to do now is to contribute our quota to the development of the party.
The outcome of these regional elections of the MPP is very crucial in the upcoming National Delegates Conference and subsequently a determinant for the election 2024. Samuel Mbura reporting for Joy News.
Well, so that's my colleague Samuel Mbura giving us a roundup of all of the activities. We know that certainly this will be leading to the next phase of the reorganization of the New Patriotic Party, which equally includes not just the election of the presidential candidate, but then we'll be focusing as well on the parliamentary elections as well. Some of the MPs who've been subject to a lot of controversy includes the Domu Kobinya MP Sarah Adjoasafo, who herself is being subjected to some processes in Parliament, as you just learned from my colleague Parker Wilson there. But we need to speak to her and find out how she's been doing and whether or not she'll return and contest in that exercise as well, and as to whether or not she would also be heading to Parliament to answer some questions. Fortunately, we've been joined on the lines now, specifically via Zoom, by Sarah Adjoasafo. She's Member of Parliament for Domu Kobinya and also Minister responsible for gender. Thank you for joining us here on The Pulse. It's been a very, very, very long time. How are you faring now? Honorable, you have to unmute for us so we can all hear you.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you now. How have you been?
I've been well, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing well, except that I'm in Ghana waiting for you as well. How has it been?
I know. I want to say a good evening to your listeners and everybody that's watching. And I'm grateful that you have me on this evening.
There's a lot waiting for you. In fact, in Parliament, the processes and the hearings have started, obviously, to hear some of your colleagues, including yourself, who've not been present in the House for some time now. Are you willing to appear before the committee? Are you willing to return and appear?
Definitely, I will return. As you know, my son has been unwell, and that is why I had to come here to the United States to, be the mother and the best mother that I could be. And I'm still here, making sure that all that is settled with my son and all the authorities and the school, and it's still ongoing. I've been a deputy leader of Ghana's parliament, and I know the rules, and I know that the Privileges Committee wants me to be in parliament. But as we speak, I don't know that I've been invited. I have to be served, and I'm not aware that any such thing has been given to me. I'm just hearing it from you.
So all throughout the process, when it was announced even by the Speaker that you'd be facing the committee, no official document has come to, not even your office in Ghana, communicating that to you officially?
No.
So this would then mean that you will not be appearing before the committee?
As you can see, I'm here in the United States, and I don't know that I was supposed to. I mean, if the speaker says that you've been referred, the committee has to sit and have its own modalities of how we're going to appear, when and how, the dates, what information they're requiring, and I don't think I have all that information as we speak right now.
And that's really surprising because just a few minutes ago we heard from Ricky Tegan, one of the members of the committee, stating that your schedule is next. So how come you've not been communicated to? Because he's quite sure that at least you are well informed about what the processes are and how the committee is going to go about its proceedings.
I'm just hearing it from you, and I got a message from my personal assistant that you guys wanted to talk to me about it. And that's why I showed up right now.
Well, let's talk about this. Beyond the committee as well, we know certainly that you're a member of parliament. So parliament is back from recess, and there are concerns as to whether or not you would return and continue to function as a member of parliament. Are you going to do that? Because aside the committee requirements, you are also a member of parliament and you've been elected by your constituents, but you're not showing up in parliament. So parliament is back. Will you be returning?
I will be returning, definitely, to serve my people. I lead and serve the people of Domi Kwabenya. And I've done that for the past 12 years, and I know exactly what my responsibilities are. And I'm definitely going to do that. But as you know, my son is unwell, and he has to transition to school. And as a mother, I have to ensure that all that is settled before I can resume my duties. And that's exactly what I'm doing.
So going by what you're telling me now, it's practically impossible that we may even see you by the end of the month.
With God, everything is possible. We've been praying. I've been doing a lot to support my children, which I'm required to do by law. And as you know, they're in a foreign land, and I have to comply with whatever I'm directed to. And until all that is sorted out, I have to do what I have to do, and then I'll return to my duties.
So we have to rule out. We have to rule out next week. So we have to rule out next week. You may not return next week.
If I'm served and I look at the condition and the circumstances right here, and I'm able to, why not? But I've not been served earlier. I told you that.
So let's go into the conversation.
And I know the rules.
Right.
And I've been a practicing lawyer for 18 years, and I don't have to be served through JoyNews, and I don't have to be served through a third party. And as we speak now, I don't think I've received any such communication or service from Parliament, and that's why I'm still here.
But this controversy goes beyond your absence in Parliament. In fact, there's a lot of reaction from even party members. You're a member of the New Patriotic Party. A lot has happened, and I'm sure that you've been monitoring all of the developments as well. But here's the opportunity for us to know your side of the story. We've heard from your party. We've heard from your colleagues in Parliament as well. What's the Adjoa Safo story?
The Adjoa Safo story is exactly what I've told you about, and that's what communication I have sent to His Excellency the President, and he's very much aware of what is happening to me and my family. And that's what I expect every Ghanaian to understand, that I am not intentionally abandoning my duties and my responsibilities. I have served the people of Ghana for 12 years. I entered politics when I was young, and I have done it. And there has not been any past record of me absenting myself like this. That should tell people that there's really something that ought to be done with family, and I know that you will put family first. So they should all start praying and keep praying for us, and I know with God everything is possible, and we're going to pull through it.
I mean, everybody obviously would put family first, but that wasn't the narrative. Even from the likes of Kennedy Japan, who we understand is very close to you, these are persons who went out publicly to state that it appears you were intentionally refusing to show up in Parliament. In fact, they go on to give some chilling accounts of how, for instance, the Chief of Staff came to your office or your house just to personally plead with you to support your party. Why did you give up on the NPP?
I haven't given up on my party. I am still very loyal and committed to the party and to His Excellency the President. And I have had a record of the 2012 election petition from Domi Fabinger. That is what landed all of us in power today. And I will be the last person to put that fight, that courage, and that record that I fought for into disrepute at this time. So I'm not going to respond to third parties, what they think and what their opinions are, but I want everybody to listen to me. And what I'm saying is that I am still committed to the party, I'm still committed to the government, and I'm still committed to His Excellency the President and his family.
I mean, you are a politician, so you understand the importance of public opinion, the opinion of the delegates. In fact, your constituents also matter. So your narrative is also crucial. We've heard, for instance, that arrangements were made to you in the wake of the consideration of the e-levy, for instance, for you to appear in Parliament. Some tickets were flown out to you just to try as much as possible to get you to add to the numbers. You didn't, of course, listen to the leadership of your party, and they're beginning to get worried.
I debunk all that allegations, and they say silence is golden, because when people throwing stuff at you that are not true and you respond immediately, you don't make sense to the people. And that is why I've kept quiet all these days and months, listening to what everybody got to say. But what I know and what I'm telling the people of Ghana is that I had issues with family that I had to take care of. And that's exactly why I had to stay back. And when I had to come, I did come. And when it was out of my hands that I couldn't do anything about it, I couldn't make it. And that's what it is.
You're talking about the fact that the president is well aware of your condition. Is that possibly why he's keeping you at post as gender minister? Some have argued that by now you should have lost your job.
That is their opinion. The prerogative lies in the president, and he knows exactly what I am capable of doing, what I've done for the party, what I've done for Parliament, and he knows that I won't intentionally abandon my duties if I had no just reasons, and he won't allow me to stay for the family if he didn't know exactly what was happening.
So what do you suspect then could be the motive of, for instance, very high-profile persons within the NPP? For instance, you have the general secretary of your political party, for instance, coming out publicly to say the NPP was considering at some point relieving you of the party ticket and declaring your seat vacant. You've heard John Boydu say some of these words. How does that come to you, and what do you believe may be the motive of your general secretary?
I cannot speak to people's motive. What I can speak to is what I know. And what I know is I have been on the party's ticket for the people of Domi Fabinger, and I have given the highest votes to the party. And I'm the first woman to lead, and I have led, and my words and my footprints are there for everybody to see. And if I have to take time off at this crucial time, and I have done, I believe that the reasonable people would understand. And I believe he's reasonable as well.
And we know that definitely, as you're indicating to us, you will return. But then the question about resuming your role as gender minister. We know there's a caretaker minister as we speak, acting in your stead. Will you take up the post immediately you return? Or perhaps you are considering resigning from post?
That is what you're expecting, or that's what other people are expecting?
Well, it's all about you in the end, because you say the president is well aware. So what will you do?
Exactly.
Will you take up the post once you return?
And since I haven't resigned, it's implied that exactly what you're saying is the truth. When I touch down, I am going to do what I have to do as a minister, since I haven't been relieved of my post yet.
So why are you failing to give the people of Ghana and your constituents the exact date that you'll return to this country? A lot of people are anxious, waiting to see, well, she says she'll come back, but she's not showing up anytime soon. When is Sarah Jossafo returning?
She's going to return when issues with family are well sorted out. And that is not something that I can predict. And that is not something that is within my power. And there is a lot within the United States that I don't want to share. And we're talking about a child, and we're talking about medical stuff. And I don't want to put it out there, because even if you ask for it from the authorities here, they're not going to give it to you. And I'm not going to give it out in public. So everything is going to work out, and I'm going to come back and take my position. So whatever anybody is saying, I think we're in a reorganization mood in the party. People have interest. People have motives. People have things that they want to do. But I don't want to be the center of that, and I'm concentrating on what I asked permission from the head of state, the commander-in-chief, and the president of the republic that I'm going to do is exactly what I'm doing.
Of course, I recall with joy when you came up on social media with your daughter, sending that Easter message out there. You stated categorically that you were the member of parliament for Dom Kwabena. That's what you said. But you were silent on whether or not you're still the gender minister. Do you still consider yourself as gender minister of the Republic of Ghana?
That is so petty. I didn't even know that. Because, there's a difference in our, with government, the executive power and the parliamentary duty that I have. And at that time, I had sent out things that I had to send out to the religious leaders in my constituency. And so that video definitely was for the constituents. And so I restricted myself to the people of Dom Kwabena. And as the president of the republic, he will wish the whole country. So that's the difference, and that's the reason why you didn't hear me mention.
Right, but even the seat that you hold, the Dom Kwabena seat, is under siege, as some are describing it. You're indicating to us that at least you've not been served. The committee may go ahead and pass whatever sanction it is that they intend to do. Are you not worried that you may lose the Dom Kwabena seat, particularly as the Speaker of Parliament, who even belongs to another political party, could simply go ahead and say you've breached the 15-day rule and then go ahead to declare your seat as vacant?
I am not worried, because I am very, very prayerful, and I don't believe only in the physical. I also believe in the spiritual. And I know my Lord knows exactly why I am not there, and he's going to fight my battle. So as we say, and have always said, the battle is still the Lord's, and the Lord is going to fight my battle. I'm not worried at all. Even in my third term election, nobody thought I would win, because you know exactly the situation that I was in. Nobody thought I could win. Even my primaries, people thought I couldn't win. But God made me win. So God is the final say. He has the final say.
I guess you're learning from the president. He says the battle is the Lord's, but then in Parliament, your leadership has been questioning, or in fact divided over whether or not you sought the appropriate permission to even leave the country in the first place. The Speaker is giving a different account. We've had some members of Parliament, even on the minority side, give different accounts as to whether or not you have been allowed to go out. Did you really seek permission, and from whom?
I sought permission, and for the first time I did, as you know, and other attempts to seek further permission wasn't working out with my side. And so, as you know, in my letter, I stated it to the Speaker. That is why I'm writing to him, because I've been a leader and I know exactly what I have to do. And so in the circumstances, I had no option than to write to the Speaker to let him know that this is exactly what is happening. And there are interests, and there are intentions and motives for people doing what they're doing. But what I'm saying is, I am staying focused and doing what I have to do as a mother. I want to be the best mom, because my ministry takes care of children. If I fail my family, I have failed my ministry. I have failed the people of Ghana, and that's exactly what I'm doing.
So from what you're telling us, it appears you did not seek permission, right?
I did seek permission for the first time. And the second time
but was it granted? I guess that's what's in controversy right now as we speak.
Whether it was granted or not,
yes.
admittedly, and decisions like that lie in the bosom of the speaker. And so I am not to answer whether he permitted it or not. I have to do what I have to do as a member of parliament, which is that there's a 15-day rule. I am going beyond it. What do I do in the circumstances as a reasonable person? And that's exactly what I did. All
right then. Now, Sarah Joseph, we know that a lot of relationships have been lost. I mean, a lot of people, even within your political party who used to be your friends, are no longer on your side, giving the account of what has transpired over the period. How do you intend to repair that relationship, particularly with your colleague members of parliament?
There are 275 members of parliament, including myself, and I have served as a leader, and I've built relationships. I've built friendships over the years. And if you notice, all the people that were speaking were people that are new in parliament, and I forgive them for all that they say. But what I know is that I still have good relationship with my party. I still have good relationship in parliament that I've built over the years. 12 years in parliament. There are only 40 women. I served as the caucus leader for the women's caucus in parliament. And you think I don't even have one woman who sympathizes with me because they're mothers? I don't believe that.
Some are saying, well, the belief is that some are upset with you because of the new demands, for instance, we're hearing that you're making. Some of the claims were out there indicating that you were demanding to be, for instance, made deputy speaker, deputy majority leader in parliament. I'm sure you've heard these claims as well. Is it true that you were looking out for the job that you previously held in the last parliament? Were you on the lookout to be re-nominated and subsequently approved as the deputy majority leader?
That is so untrue. And that's what I'm saying. I forgive anybody who goes out there or who went out there to insult me because of hearsay and third-party people or people telling them what they think they know, which is all untrue. And even my personal assistant has come in to debunk all of that. And the reason I didn't come out immediately to do that is that as a seasoned female politician, when people are speaking loudly and you speak, you're not heard. And this is the time for me to explain why I kept my silence. And my silence was because it was too rowdy, it was too loud, and now everything is calm and people will listen to what you got to say. And so an attempt to bring my reputation in disrepute, this I have worked for since I was 29 years old. I don't think I want to give in to that. And at that point in time, it was silence that was golden. That was the best tool for me, to keep quiet, listen to what everybody had to say about me, and then at this time, respond appropriately. And that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, indeed. And I believe that your constituents are listening the more, watching us here on the Joy News channel. What's your message to them? Your constituents who are worried, who are saying, well, we voted for an MP, we've not seen her in a long while. What message do you have for them as we wrap up on this conversation?
I want to say I still love them. I still have them close to my heart. I still want to lead. I still want to serve. I still want to be the mother of the constituency that I've always been. And they know me better than anybody. And they should remember that. And my son is forever going to be grateful to them for giving me time off to take care of him when he needed me most.
And you're raising a very critical point. You still want to be, the word is, the mother of the constituency. We know that there is yet another primaries that's imminent within the New Patriotic Party, which will require that you seek the mandate of delegates before you are re-nominated as MP for the area. If that fails to happen, are we likely to see you go independent just to contest as MP for Dom Kwabena? And do you feel you win or you stand a chance if you get on that ballot as an independent candidate?
I still remain loyal to the New Patriotic Party. I still remain loyal to His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. And time will tell, and God has the final say, and the battle is still His. Thank you.
So two others are with you. Are you in touch with them? Henry Quarte and then Kennedy Japan. These are people who are together with you on the same hot seats, as I'm saying and describing it. Have you been in touch with them as well?
No.
And I'm sure family back home are missing you here in Ghana. Have you been in touch with your parents, and also your brother as well? Have you been in touch with them, and have you also explained your side of the story to them?
I'm in touch with my siblings. I'm in touch with my parents, exactly. And I'm in touch with brothers. There are 3 of them, and they're all in touch. And they are with me in prayers as well.
All right then. Whatever the trying case may be, we're still supporting you in prayers, and we're grateful that you've been able to make some time for us. Wish you the best, and probably we'll have a good time when you return to Ghana. Thank you, Sarah Adjoa-Safo. Your last words as we wrap up. You have anything finally to say?
Well, I just have to say thank you to you and to my team back home for holding the fort. It's not been easy, but I believe that in a digital world like this, even in times of absence, we can still make things work. We can still talk and get in touch with people. And I believe in that strongly. Thank you.
Thank you too. We'll see you again.
Bye-bye.
All right then. So that's Member of Parliament for Dom Kwabena, Sarah Adjoa-Safo. Obviously, we know that as we're talking about the NPP, they'll be heading to the polls in the next 24 hours. We'll talk all about that and hear from leadership of the NPP when we return from this break. This is The Pulse. Staying with us here on The Pulse, we are still focusing on that much anticipated reorganization process of the New Patriotic Party, which is happening in the next 24 hours. Delegates are heading to the polls to elect regional executives. Joining us via Zoom now is Director of Elections for the New Patriotic Party, Evan Sinimako, who's fortunately on with us this afternoon to break down the issues and also look at what the preparation of the party is ahead of that exercise. Thank you so much, Evans, for joining us here on The Pulse. So let's first of all start off by finding out from you if the NPP, as national executives, you're ready to roll out that exercise starting from tomorrow.
Well, thank you for having me. And I must say the party at this stage is ready for the conduct of the regional annual delegate conference, which will bring together delegates within the region. And so we are looking for delegates from all the constituencies, your constituency officers in the region, all regional executive committee members in the region, the Council of Elders selecting 10 of their representatives, same as patrons. Our members of parliament in the region will represent as delegates to the conference. Our accredited testimony institutions will have representative each. Our national council representative from the regions are delegates to the conference, as well as our foundation members, those who sign the party's documents for registration with the Electoral Commission. So that is the composed body as delegates to the conference. And conference is convened by the regional chairman, who has the constitutional mandate to convene. Part of the rituals is to look at the party's performance over the year and look at the reports of the secretary and the financial position of the party in the region. Then when it gets to the stage of the elections, as mandated by the Political Parties Act, the Electoral Commission will supervise the conduct of the exercise. And so far, I must say that for regions that have slated to have their regional conference done tomorrow are set, and we're hoping that the party will have a very successful conference come tomorrow. Saturday, and then Sunday.
And even before that exercise, we're hearing reports of how, for instance, in the Awing constituency, there are some party delegates, aggrieved members who are already burning up party offices. The fear is if measures are not put in place to reunite the front ahead of this exercise or even after, the NPP may be heading for doom. So what steps are you taking to address some of these emerging challenges? Starting off specifically from what happened in Awing constituency.
Well, the party started this internal arrangement when the national mandate to national officers to conduct the internal election. We are on the regional. Yes, the issue of our own constituency came before the Adaptation committee responsible for alternative dispute resolution and legal support. The decision of the party has now been communicated that for those who were not properly considered by the elections committee will have to have their elections rerun. And so going for the regional conference, it's not everybody who claim to be elected officer in our own constituency will participate. But for those who undertook that criminal action by setting ablaze the office of the party in the constituency, I'm well aware that the Ghana Police Service has taken up the issue, and all perpetrators will be tracked and will be made to face the law. This is not an attitude that will be condoned in any way by the New Patriotic Party. That is not our nature, and we never support any such behavior. So the appropriate actions will be taken on the issue of the disqualification of some of the people. I mean, when the party has sat and considered issues internally, they are not placed in public domain. But I must say that the Alternative Dispute Resolution Committee has considered that the women organizer, the assistant secretary, and the organizer position be run to the key stakeholders and leadership of the party in the region. I want to assure members of the public that the party has put in place enough stringent arrangement to ensure that we have a very successful conference. The composition of the elections committee across the regions are senior party members who understands the operations of the party's constitution as well as the rules and regulations. We therefore expect that members will comply accordingly and ensure that in all that we are doing so to ensure that when we are out of this process, the New Patriotic Party will be formidable enough to be in a position to support the government and help prosecute the agenda towards winning elections come 2024. The ultimate is the interest of the party and nothing else.
And for those who may have grievances, are you giving that firm assurance that you deal with them expeditiously, particularly when the exercise wraps up?
For those who have some grievances, the party has put together the Adaptation committee, assisted by Honorable S.K. Boafo, lawyer Joyce Opoku, lawyer Clifford Brianma, Mr. Kojafari, who is the director of protocol at the party headquarters, and Alhaji Idi Mohadim as member secretary to the committee. They've been sitting, and when they concluded part of the activity yesterday, it was communicated to the regions. For instance, in Ashanti region, when the issue of venue was raised, the committee sat and gave direction. When the issue of album was discussed, it was discussed and directions have been given. Same as Volta region, where the issue of venue came up, the Adaptation committee sat and immediately provided the necessary stopgap. And so the committee still sits to ensure that whoever has concerns come up with them and then get resolution. So we are ready, and we're hoping that we're going to have a very different conference altogether across the regions. those who have theirs tomorrow will have it, the regional delegate conference in Bono region.
All right, then, we'll definitely be getting back to you as the process unfolds. We're very grateful that you've been able to spend time with us here on The Pulse. That's Evans Nimako, Director of Elections for the New Patriotic Party. And now, on to the newly created Gwan District. Well, they are set to have their first female district chief executive in the person of MFA Janet Obro Adibo. She was this morning affirmed by members of the Gwan District Assembly following her nomination by President Akufo-Addo to serve as his representative in the area. Now, the Gwan District, as we know it, is part of the newly created districts that were formed after the carving out of OT region, out of the Volta region. So what is she bringing aboard now that we know that her confirmation has sailed through successfully? Joining us via Zoom is MFA Janet Bro Adibo. Thank you so much for joining us. We know that all throughout morning you've been celebrating. How are you feeling now, knowing that at least you've passed the first test and that you're awaiting the official communication and appointment from the president?
The grace is sufficient. Hello?
Yes, MFA, if you can hear me, I'm just asking how you're feeling now.
Yes. Oh, the feeling is great. I feel I've been given a task, that I have a mandate, I have a task to accomplish, and I know I have a job at hand. So I'm happy, something challenging, something to challenge myself with, like a new district of a sort. To be able to deliver.
It appears that the network is actually worrying us, but yes, you have been successful. So the question will definitely be, what are you bringing on board to change the narrative? Because obviously this is a new constituency, district, administrative area. There will be challenges, but how do you intend to plan for the district, and how do you intend to move the district forward? Are you still with us?
If you can hear me, I can hear you.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm just asking about what plans you have for the district now that we know that your nomination has sailed through.
Oh, yes, a lot. You know, we have various communities with our individual problems. So we are going to set an open door policy from today. And we'll have to sit down and prioritize our needs. After our needs assessment, then we move from there. So now it is a consultation time with the chief and people of the various areas. I am an indigene and I know, but then I can go and tell them this is what you need. They will have to tell me their priorities.
Okay, it appears that we're having some challenges with the connection there. Definitely, this conversation will come up again on The Pulse, so definitely be on the lookout for that. The first female DC for that newly created district. We'll get back to that. But for now, the Ministry of Health has hinted that it has intentions of adding core mixture to the essential drugs list at various health centers across the country. Now, this was reviewed by the Deputy Health Minister, Mahama Saini, at the relaunch of core mixture in Accra. Malsi, no one was there and now reports.
The Ministry of Health says adding the core mixture to the essential drug list is part of its measures to improve universal health care delivery in the country. Deputy Health Minister Mahama Saini says this will enable the various hospitals to prescribe the core mixture to patients.
I'm aware engagements are going on at the various levels with stakeholders in order to ensure the successful implementation of this policy, which began in 1988. Core mixture is part of the medicine that have been selected. This means that core mixture can now be prescribed in various health facilities across the country.
The Deputy Health Minister assured herbal medicine manufacturers of government's commitment to providing an enabling environment for them to compete with orthodox medicines. This forms part of measures to ensure the well-being of all persons in order to achieve Sustainable Development Goal 3 by 2030.
The government is committed to creating an enabling environment to plant medicine can compete powerfully with orthodox medicine, are thereby contributing to government's vision of universal health coverage and a healthy population, which makes it possible and eventually to achieve Sustainable Development Goals 3 by 2030. That is, achieving health for all at all ages.
Founder and CEO of Kwa Research and Manufacturing Company Limited, Professor Samuel Atodankan, used the opportunity to debunk conception that Kwa mixture cures HIV/AIDS.
Kwa mixture is for your general well-being. That is what the Food and Drugs Authority has registered the product for. It is for your general well-being. And for general well-being, it means anybody who has any condition can take the Kwa mixture. It is not cure for HIV. That's what I want to make it clear. It is not cure for HIV. It is a medicine for the general well-being. It has 161 organic compounds, so it supports the immune system to fight a variety of diseases. So it is not cure for HIV, as being speculated.
He cautioned the general public to be vigilant about fake products on the market. Mao Sidomon's report read to you.
And now the Global Center on Adaptation has warned extreme weather and rapid changes to Ghana's climate presents profound risk. The projected impacts of climate change are likely to intensify pressure on the country's existing infrastructure, affecting food supply, water storage, flood defenses, and sanitation. Speaking at a news conference in Accra, Chief Executive of the Center, Professor Dr. Patrick Vendoven actually highlighted the need to expedite action on a roadmap for resilient infrastructure in a changing climate.
Colleagues of the press corps, for joining this press conference. Ghana is in the eye of the storm. It's just recovering from the economic fallout of the COVID crisis. Food prices are up, energy prices are up, inflation is up because of the Ukraine crisis, and on top of that, there is the climate catastrophe. The climate crisis, which Ghana did not cause. The climate emergency, which Africa did not cause. Less than 5% of greenhouse gas emissions are coming from the African continent, but the impacts are felt throughout Africa, and the impacts are felt here in Ghana. More floods, more droughts, more wetter and drier and hotter. The reason why I'm here today in Accra is that we have launched, together with the government of Ghana, with President Akufo-Addo, a so-called roadmap for resilient infrastructure. What is it? We have identified and looked at all the infrastructure in Ghana, from transportation to water to energy, and have analyzed the climate risks, the climate impacts of today, and we have projected these impacts, how they will unfold over time. And quite frankly, colleagues, the picture is dire. The floods which we see today in the Accra region will be intensified over time. Why is that? We're currently living globally in a world which is roughly 1 degree warmer than the pre-industrial era. In 2015, world leaders from Africa, but also from the global north, have agreed 3 important things. 1, the world cannot warm up more than 1.5 degrees. And where are we on that, on the scorecard? We are failing, because the world will already increase warming by 1.5. When? By 2030. 2, the world has agreed that $100 billion will flow from the global north to the global south, particularly in Africa. What's the scorecard on that? We are failing. $80 billion a year is currently flowing, not $100 billion. And out of that $80 billion, a mere 20 billion is invested in adaptation, and only a fraction of that is coming to Africa. The world is failing Africa. And the third piece, which was agreed in 2015, is that the world, realizing that it will warm up, it has to adapt to this new reality. We need to produce and consume our food differently. We need to build our infrastructure differently. And particularly, we need to create jobs for our young people. Decent jobs, green jobs, jobs which are in the climate adaptation space. Last November, President Akufo-Addo came to Glasgow, where he met with world leaders during the climate summit. And he said, Africa is tired of waiting. Ghana is tired of waiting. And on that occasion, he launched, together with fellow African leaders, the largest African adaptation program to date. It's called the Africa Adaptation Acceleration Program, AAAP. What is it? $25 billion over 5 years invested in agriculture, infrastructure, youth, and mobilizing finance. Half of that money is currently on the table, 12.5. So how much is missing? Another 12.5. This year is the true litmus test for the international community. Why? Because at the end of this year in Egypt, there will be another moment of truth. There will be another moment of reckoning in Egypt during the climate summit. It's in Africa. Africa leaders, led by President Akufo-Addo, demand international finance from global partners, which they have promised. The Ukraine crisis is a tragedy. Lots of development finance from the north is going now to Ukraine, and rightly so. But this should not be at the cost of Africa. During the COVID crisis, trillions of US dollars were mobilized overnight for the economic recovery. Only a fraction of that came to Africa. We cannot fall into the same trap that now billions of dollars are mobilized for climate and only a fraction is coming to Africa. There is a moral imperative to act, but also, ladies and gentlemen, there is an economic imperative to act. Why? Every dollar which you invest in resilient infrastructure, roads which will not be washed away, schools which will not be closed because of the floods, agriculture which will not be less in yield because of the drought. Every dollar you invest has a much higher return on investments. So today, when we launch the roadmap for resilient infrastructure in Ghana, essentially it's a business plan. It's a plan of action where there is a concrete business proposition on where to invest in Ghana, in which sector, how much it costs, how much will be mobilized and put on the table by the government, but particularly how much finance needs to be attracted from the private sector and from development partners. I thank you very much indeed. I'm happy to take any questions which you may have. But please do speak up.
Also, don't be too excited if you find me this way, because the real deal will happen on that day when we play the five-a-side gala. But it's time to tell you about this. Hits FM's Rep Your Jersey this year is set to see your favorite presenter and their teams as well battle it out for who emerges as the king of the five-a-side gala. Now, there will be so much fun activities like the FIFA video games, Ampe, basketball, lawn tennis, and a lot that will be happening. It will all be crowned by the finals of the Champions League, which will be between Liverpool and Real Madrid on a very giant screen on the 28th of May at the Aviation Social Center here in Accra. And we know that Hits FM's Rep Your Jersey is brought to us by Hits 103.9 FM and also powered by Joy Prime TV and Joy Sports. They are all part of the big multimedia family Makri Kwe is here, and obviously he will be giving us some updates on what to expect, how it would all be unfolding. But I'm sure that just as you see the Liverpool jersey here, it tells us that you never walk alone, do you?
That's right. You never walk alone. And, you know, it's really exciting. 11 years we've been doing this, and this year happens to be the most exciting. You know, COVID was here, and now we can get to meet, you know, with our dear ones and have a beautiful time. So this Saturday promises to be a very exciting time.
Liverpool, right?
You know, it's, you know, for me, it goes beyond, you know, the Liverpool. You know, it is about getting to meet, you know, the amazing people that we know. And you know, me, it's about my team, the 10 Up FC. You know, on that day, I'm not doing Liverpool. I'm representing Ghana. You know, I'm representing Ghana. So Ghana is 10 Up FC. We're coming up against the Pounds FC and the rest. But I can tell you for sure that at the end of the day, it's going to be 10 Up FC lifting the cup. And we're bringing it. We're going to have a tour. We'll go, we'll visit the president's office. We'll come to multimedia, go to Kenase's office. We'll, you know, we'll visit all the places.
There's so much happening.
There's going to be the, you know, Feel the Cup tour. You know, so watch out for that.
Yeah, and I'm excited about the video games as well.
Yeah, video games. Yeah, there are going to be a lot of games. I am, you know, particularly excited about the Ampe because I love it when the, you know, ladies, you know, do that.
And in fact, it's the best option for you when you're a Liverpool fan. When you know that you're preparing, you lose, and Real Madrid would carry the day.
Well, that's
your best option.
No, that's your best opinion. You know, but trust me, it's going to be an amazing time. A fever pitch. You know, there's so much excitement in the air about, you know, what is happening, and I just can't wait for Saturday. So let's wait and see.
Like that.
Yeah.
I should be doing that. Right
You
now,
should.
because I have the glasses on. But anyway, let's talk about the presenters who will be passing through. The whole of the Hits FM family will be there. Joy Sports team. In fact, everyone.
It's going to be the entire multimedia family. So all your favorite presenters, you know, from Philip Nye, Adam Naite, Lexis Bill, you know, yourself. You know, we're all going to be there. It's one family, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Some more side attractions that you want to talk about?
There are going to be a lot of prizes, you know, to be given away. I mean, Peugeot is a sponsor. We have Dubai Energy Drink, who's official sponsor of the 10 Up FC. So I have a lot of energy drink to give away, to give you that energy and the kick, you know, for all the activities that are going to happen on the day. There's Power Deodorant. You're going to give away a lot of amazing prizes. So a lot to give away.
And what's really exciting about this is that it's been happening for 11 years. So you can trust the consistency in this.
Of course, consistency is everything. And I mean, all those who have been a part of this, you've seen pictures, those who've been part of it know what the experience is. And if you haven't seen it yet, you have seen the pictures and you know exactly what you're going to experience, you know, on the day. It's really exciting. It's a place you want to be, and it's a place you miss if you actually don't get to be a part of it. So be a part of it and get to tell the story with those who happen to be there.
Yeah, and indeed we'll be on the lookout for that. But for those who are wondering, what's the requirement? Is it free? Do I get to come in once I'm ready for it?
It's absolutely free, and that's what's exciting. We want to make this open for, but make sure you come early. 12 is the time to be there, so make sure you come early so you can get a very good place to sit and experience the entire episode.
Makri Kwe.
Turn up, turn up, turn up, turn up.
But okay, we need to go. But there's this question on my mind. If someone walks up to me and say, "Blessed, why do I need to be at the Hits FM Rep Your Jersey program?" What's that powerful response to give to that person, just to convince the person to be there?
You know, that should be like asking, why do friends meet to watch a football match when we all have screens in our homes? You know, so it's about the feeling, you know, getting to be with amazing people, getting to hear the responses, the cheers, the jeers, you know,
spending quality time
with people, and of course getting to win some amazing prizes as well. So that should be a good reason, I hope.
It's indeed a great reason.
Right.
We all see the moon in our homes, but we still gather around the tree just to
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I'm just being philosophical there, but anyway, don't mind my tune. Don't mind my tune. Macri, thank you so much for joining us. And of course, don't forget that Hits FM's Rep Your Jersey is brought to you by our sister station, Hits 103.9 FM, also powered by Joy Prime TV and then Joy Sports. So Joy Sports team will be there as well. You need to be there. Hope to see you there as well. But when we return from this break, we'll bring you some more. Please stay. Well, don't forget that we're all excited about it. It's Hits FM Rep Your Jersey, and we're still in that mood for it. It's happening on the 28th of May. You definitely need to be there. A lot of reactions are coming through already from the Liverpool fans who are angry at me. My good friend Del writes in the Volta region, who's watching us now and saying, well, we're taking the trophy. You need to be there at the Aviation Social Center. That's where it's happening, and it's powered by Joy Prime TV, also by Hits FM, and then the Joy Sports team will be there. But that's all we have for you here on The Pulse. I am Blessed Sogah. Don't forget as well that you can get all of the updates on our stories at myjoyonline.com.